My name is Mark Andrew De Jesus. I've been skating Boston boards for about over a decade. I'd say 10, 11 years, coming up 11. We started in 2014 and it's been a long ride. My first board was a yo face. I didn't really do tricks on it. I was just pushing because it took me, I think, 6 years to actually try and do any sort of trick. When I was in school, I was really into acting. My dream was to be on a stage. I wanted to go to college to get my BFA in acting or musical theater, or try my hat at directing. But after being denied entry to a lot of the colleges I wanted to go to, I decided to just go into BMCC, a community college, and try my best to major in film and technology. I only did one semester and I ended up dropping out because it was just too much for me. I always struggled in school when it came to deadlines. It just wasn't my thing, but I loved the education behind it all. I would always be the one to always participate in class and really be involved, and I would always study, but it was just those tests, it just wasn't for me. Once I did that semester, I stopped going to college and instead I was just working. First job was Lindustries Pizzeria, Havemeyer, South Second, Williamsburg. That was interesting. I had a very conflicting boss, but good times, I'd say. From there, I started working as a doorman in the city on like Park Avenue, and I did that for like a year and a half, and whew, the money was good. But I wanted to get a job that wasn't just me sitting around and earning money. I wanted experience. I was only like 18, 19 years old when I had that job. And I knew I needed a job that would hone some type of skill. So I ended up working for Starbucks as a barista. Did that for about 4 years. Within those years, I started working for Skate Everything School as a skate instructor to teach kids and adults alike the basics of skating and street etiquette when it came to skating. I would also push people to learn tricks. I would teach them all the tricks I would know. Recently quit Starbucks. That was an accomplishment for me. Now I work at a hotel making coffee again. In the midst of me working all those jobs, I always clung on to filming, photography, and editing. I think it was a calling of mine, considering I, wanted to explore that in college, but I stopped going. So I told myself, I need to teach myself this. I can't just drop it. And so me and my friends would always link up when we would skate together. People like O'Neal Ellerby, Robert Gomez, Ricardo Rivera, Clark Patrick, Leon Vincent. Sorry, I might have butchered your name. Leon, you know who you are. Those were the impactful people in my life when it came to skating. They all pushed me to really try new things and go for things I was super scared of. They also allowed me to film them and practice my editing skills and filming skills.
Round one.
I didn't even have a tripod or like any gimbal or stabilizer until very recently, actually. The hardest part about filming was like trying to keep stable while skating on my board. I think I did a good job, and without those people in my life, I think I wouldn't really have the skills I have now. They were a really big impact on allowing me to practice and hone in on my skills, and I thank them greatly for that. 2020 was peak year for me. Yes, the whole pandemic happened, but everyone had a lot of free time on their hands, and I decided to practice my tricks. I really was going for it. That's when I started making a lot of like skate segments of not only myself, but of my friends. And if you go back on my social media, like I made a lot of films, like short films. I would always tag Bustin in the hopes they would send me a free board one day, or like I would be working with them. And you know, it's interesting to see how far I've come because I ended up doing that. The reason why I wanted to film myself wasn't necessarily just to try and get a sponsorship. It was also to like self-reflect and also again practice my filming skills, practice my editing skills mainly. Because when it was just me, I would just put my phone down and put it on a tripod and go at it. So within those projects, I would always have to challenge myself of how do I make this dynamic on the screen. I always thought about storytelling and how I would make it interesting. Coming up with transition shots, whether that be within the editing program or using like actual film techniques. I never really had a DSLR camera. I did have a Nikon D3200 and I used it for a little bit, but I stopped using it and instead I was using my phone. Um, Reason being, I needed something more mobile since I was on the go all the time and I didn't want to worry about equipment. So I started filming on my phone. And eventually in 2021, I upgraded to an iPhone for the first time because I was an Android user. And what phone did I get? I think it was the iPhone 12 at the time, and it had like a really good camera at first. Then from there, I swapped to the iPhone 14 Pro, the one I'm actually using right now, and that changed everything for me. Getting access to the 0.5 lens, getting access to the 4K 60 frames per second. I told myself, why spend so much money on an expensive DSLR camera when I can just use what I have, make it easy, you know? Because all I really wanted to do was make some sort of content and see my progression, not only as a skater, but as a storyteller, as a director, and as a editor.